So here is lesson 9.5a. This is about cryptography. We're going to use some matrices to send some messages. This is going to prepare you for your project that you'll be working on. You should be able to start that today and then finish it by Monday. So our goals are to be able to use a matrix to encrypt and decrypt a message, as well as to understand some applications of matrices. We're going to focus mostly on the message part. So cryptogram is a hidden message written in a code. And we are going to use a coding matrix to both encrypt them and decrypt them and get some messages. I think this is kind of fun. I thought it would be really interesting to try out and maybe do a project on. So here's your code that you're going to use, okay? Each letter has a number value and space is 0. Here's a message. Happy Friday is our message, okay? We are going to start by assigning each letter a number. So we're going to start with H. H is 8. Whoops. Sorry, H is 8. A is 1. P is 16. We'll do that twice. Y is 25. Space is 0. F is 6. R is 18. And then we've got I at 10, D is 4, A is 1, and Y is 25. So what we've done is we've assigned a number to each letter, and we're going to use this to help us code. We're going to choose an encoding matrix. I just chose this one. This is completely random. I don't really have a reason. It's 2, 3, -1, 0. The one thing is that the coding matrix must have an inverse. So remember, you can check that by checking the determinant, okay? And for the determinant, I get a non-zero number, meaning that this does have an inverse. I'm good to go with this determinant. It will work for me to do what I want to do. So my coding matrix is 2, 3, -1, 0. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my numbered phrase, which is in this first matrix here, by the coding matrix. It's important that your phrase matrix or your numbered matrix, whatever you want to call it, has the same number of columns as the coding matrix has rows. So for example, I put this in 2 columns, okay? H is 8, A is 1, P is 16, P is 16, etc. And I did it in 2 columns because my coding matrix has 2 rows. Remember that our rules of multiplication tell us that when we look at the dimensions, the 2 inside dimensions have to be the same, which means that our answer is going to be the 2 outside dimensions. Now, because this is a 6 by 2, I would really recommend that you use your graphing calculator to put this in, okay? So to multiply this, because doing it by hand is doable, but kind of a pain. And it can be just a little bit easier if you use your graphing calculator to do this. So let's enter this in. And then remember, we want to enter our coding matrix as well. And this is a 2 by 2. And then we want to multiply our first matrix by our second matrix and get our answer. This is, let's see, 15, 24, 16, 48, 50, 75, -6, 18, 14, 27, -23, and 3. This is our coded message, okay? We can remove the matrix bars then, and we can write this out in order. Remember that we were going across first and then down, so 16, 48, 50, 75, -6, 18, 14, 27. And this is our secret message. So this is what I could send to someone to give them the secret message that says Happy Friday. Now, when we're decoding a message, we kind of work backwards, okay? So I've got a message here. This is in code, the 80, 46, etc. And I've been given an encoding matrix. Now, I'm going to notice that this has 3 rows, which means that when I am putting my code into a matrix, I'm going to do it with 3 columns, okay? I'm going to write this out with 3 columns. I'm going to go 80, 46, negative 13, and then I'm going to start a new one. 30, 11, 11, 39, 12, 18, 46, 47, 8. Here we go. Okay, so I took that and I put it into a matrix. It's like I said, it's very, very important that the number of columns matches the number of rows in the encoding matrix. That's super important when you're working with it, or you won't be able to multiply. We want to find the inverse of the encoding matrix. I'm going to flip back real quick so I can see what it is. Okay, and I'm going to enter this into my calculator because it's going to make life easier for me. So this is a 3 by 3. And then I'm going to quit, and I'm going to go to the matrix menu, and I'm going to take, I put this in as A, so -1, okay? And I get something with some decimals, so I'm going to switch this real quick into fractions. So it's a little less ugly, and I'm going to write down the inverse of my coding matrix. Go ahead and push this in, or punch this in while I'm writing it down, and then you can check and make sure that you got the same inverse that I did. All right, so here is the inverse of my coding matrix. Notice this is a 3 by 3, just like the other one was. It's just the inverse of it, okay? Now we want to multiply the inverse of the encoding matrix by that original matrix that I got. So let's take this matrix and we're going to multiply it by the encoding matrix, which I'm going to rewrite all over again, which is super fun. This is much easier to do on paper where you actually have some space and trying to do it on multiple screens for sure. Now, I want to um, keep this matrix, okay, because I don't want to have to really re-enter it again. So we want to keep this matrix, this coding matrix, the inverse of it, so that we can multiply by the message matrix. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, but the order is important, okay, because what I'm multiplying is a 5 by 3 by a 3 by 3. So it's important that I put them in that order. So I'm going to go ahead and enter these matrices, and then I'm going to multiply them. Excuse me. Takes a little while to enter all this in. And make sure you're entering this correctly as you're doing it, okay? Some of these numbers, 46, 57, etc. Make sure that you get the right number in. Once you've got those entered, again, you want to multiply your coded matrix by that inverse matrix. And we get, I'm going to flip to this screen over here, 16, 18, 5, 3, 1, 12, 3, 0, 18, 15, 3, 11, 19, 0, 0. That's our matrix, okay? And then we can put it all into letters, okay? So we're going to look back at our code, and we're just going to do it in order. So P, R, E, C, A, L, C, space. Remember, 0 means space. And 18 is R, O, C, whoops, E, K, S. And these last two zeros are two spaces, which I needed to complete my matrix so that it was columns. So obviously we don't really need those, okay? Maybe we could put in some exclamation points because pre-calc rocks. So that's your little coded message there. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. Again, you can always rewatch this, whatever. This is what we're going to be doing our project on. So oops, sorry. So we converted all of these numbers to letters and we got our little message, okay? So that is our project that we're going to be doing. It's called 9.5A Cryptography. Okay, and there are two parts. For the first part, which is posted on Schoology, you are going to be creating a message, okay? And I have given you all the parameters of how long it needs to be, and what size your coding matrix should be and all of that stuff. Please write a message that's appropriate, okay? Don't write anything mean or rude or inappropriate, but write a little message of however many letters, and then I want you to go through this process of coding. So you're going to convert all the letters to numbers. You're going to then put those numbers into a matrix, and you're going to create a coding matrix, and you're going to encode the message. That's all going to go, all your work and everything is going to go into that project first part. That needs to be completed by Monday. What I'm going to do on Monday is I am going to look at everybody's message that they've done and that they've encoded. I'm going to go through all the work and make sure that it's correct so that the coded message is correct. And then I'm going to hand it out on Tuesday. And you are going to get a classmate's message, which you're going to do the second part, which is to decode that message. So you're going to go backwards through the process. You're going to find the inverse of the coding matrix. You're going to decode the message and write it down. This is going to be a project grade for this unit, okay? We are going to take a test, obviously, next week, but I wanted to do kind of a fun little project. Number one, that will help your summative grade, but number two, that would be interesting and kind of fun to do. So that's what you're going to be working on. You can go ahead and get started on that. Everything that you need is posted on Schoology. Just kind of work through it, lays all the steps out for you, work through the steps, enter your information there. And then when you're done, submit so that I can see that message and I will check it for accuracy. And then next week, I'll be handing them out to everybody, okay? As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Feel free to email me if there's anything that you need. Take care, and I'll see you soon.